right, so in these sprints that we are doing 4 companies at a time, we're down to the last leg of this session, and that is to introduce you to a company called Toogethr. And to tell us more about Toogethr, our brightly clad gentlemen, Martin and Leon. Please join me here on stage.
Okay, good morning everyone. We are Toogethr, we're from Amsterdam, and we're happy here to be at LeWeb in London. Everybody knows us here now in the Netherlands, but not yet here in the UK, for instance. Since we launched our app, we're growing actually quite fast. We grow over 10% a month, our user base, and since our launch, we have more than 90,000 rides offered and requested in total. Here, a short snapshot of the team. We do everything in-house, from design to community building to software development and everything we need to get going. And this pays off pretty well. You may think, another carpool and rideshare app. I've seen enough of these ones. So please tell me, what are you doing here? I think our approach is quite different. Not so much technology-wise, but more positioning-wise. We like to actually solve a daily issue, getting to your work, so basically commuting. Of course, you have rideshare apps more in the real-time space, like Lyft and Sidecar, which are more taxi-hailing apps. And you have apps for more longer distance, like hitchhiking, carpooling.com, BlaBlaCar, they're also here. We like to be in the middle. And that's, of course, a very challenging area, because you ask people to change their daily commutes and change their daily routines. But also, that's where most traffic and congestion is coming from. This is about 80 or 90% of all the rides is actually commutes, and taxi is only about 6%, for instance. Well, so far in our database of all the rides, over 30% of all rides are already repeating rides, so people are telling their daily schedule, how they go to the office. As I just told you, for us, it's to be actually in top of mind of the brain of the user. And that's, of course, a very difficult thing to do. People don't like to change their behaviors. People know maybe traffic jams, I hate them, but still I'm not looking for alternatives. And what we are trying to do, in addition to having a great app, is to change the way people actually perceive their commute and to provide real value in there. What are we launching today? Because we're adding something new to the Toogethr app. What we're adding today is incorporation of game mechanics and game challenges. What it basically means is that Toogethr is going to incorporate multiple challenges. So that's not turning into a kind of a game, the whole app, but actually companies or regions or festivals can actually ask us to set up a challenge, and we can actually work out such a challenge, including incentives and so forth. We've just signed up the first company for that. It was the region of Rotterdam, one of the most congested areas in the Netherlands, and that's already a paid pilot. And this will be actually a way to engage more with the user, to make the app more sticky. You may think gamification, I've heard it so many times before, but we think, yes, that's true, but at the same time it's highly undervaluated at this moment. Because gamification can help you to reach a common goal, and that's where it's about, sharing rights. And the more rights that are being shared, the more and likely chance there is to find rights. So how are we going to do that? We're actually going to incentivize certain behavior. And that boils down basically to 3 things. One is the responsiveness. It's great if people say, hey, I can get a ride with you, but if you don't respond, it's not working out. At the same time, trust. You need to have a clear profile. We're using social profiles for that. And on top of that, we're adding more and more stuff. And the third one is sharing rights. The more rights you share, the higher the incentives will be. Well, of course, I like to show you how that works. So it's now demo time. Mm-hmm. Okay. I see the demo is not coming up, so I have backup slides in this case I'm going to use. So basically, if you're using the app or you're not using the app, from time to time you get triggers, native triggers, telling you, hey, we haven't seen you in a while, and in the meantime there have been 1,000 new rights that might be interesting for you. So you actually click on that and you even get points for your behavior, for coming back. Here you have a screen where you actually, you've seen them before, can enter your right, for instance here to DSM, which is a big factory in the south of the Netherlands, and you can say this is a single right or a repeating right. And from there on, you can actually post a right to the database so other people will be notified. What we have in Toogethr, that's quite unique, we have the concept called groups. So people are not just getting the matches, but they also can follow certain groups, for instance, for a company or for a certain festival. And these will be notified if there will be new rights added. And after I've done that, you see there will be a match. And that's Leon, my friend here on stage, our community manager. And well, too bad we can't show it live, but here I see a match, and we both actually get points for that, for actually putting stuff in our database. Leon, I can check his profile, see, interesting guy, I want to book a ride with him. So here we follow more or less the Airbnb model for booking, and I can say how many persons I have. I can even send him a message, and my request is being sent. Directly after that, Leon gets a notification on his device. And I want to join his ride to the same direction, maybe a bit of a different time, but that's fine. And Leon can actually start checking my profile to see if I'm trustworthy. And from there on, Leon can actually say, well, I'm going to either accept or reject the ride, or first he's going to check my profile. On my profile, you see, for instance, my stats, how responsive I am, how trustworthy I am, how much I've shared in the meantime with the app, and also the challenges I've come up with. And then it's already done, because then he can actually say yes or no. He can accept or decline my right or send me a message first. And then that's it.
Excellent. We'll let the judges probe a little deeper as some of the things that you may not have been able to hit with that little demo snafu. And so we'll turn it over to our judges. And Carlos, you ready to roll?
I'm going to speak on behalf of everyone here, I think. So as you said, this is yet another carpool app. And if I understood correctly, your differentiation is that the rides that you're targeting are medium length, but I mean, depends on how people will use it, right? Because what is in your application that prevents people from using it for short rides or long rides, and the same for all the other apps? This is about how people will use it, right? Or is it something in the functionality of the application that steers you towards only using it for long rides?
Yeah. Well, technically, of course, our app can also support long-distance rides and short-distance rides. So technology-wise, there's not so much difference. But the thing is that we actually want to target daily commutes from people. And people are, first of all, not thinking so much about changing their daily behavior. And next to them, the apps who are already there don't actually support it pretty well. For instance, setting up schedules is very difficult for us. You can say, I go take this ride every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at a certain time, and I go back at a different time, for instance, on a Friday. And these can be matched individually, or also with people with exactly the same schedule. So we are more building a carpool app in the sense that it's focusing on the commute, where all the traffic is coming from in the morning and in the afternoon.
The trustworthiness thing is kind of what concerns me. I'm not sure I'd use it, because it could just be any random person in any random car taking me potentially to work, but maybe not. And how are you going to sort of battle that trustworthiness? Because for me, I'm not sure I'd use your app.
Yeah. Well, that's a question that not only relates, of course, to our apps, but to many initiatives in the sharing economy. Trust is something which is very difficult to actually prove online. You have ID verification services you can use, but in the end we believe that the closer you are to a certain person, for instance in the social graph, or for instance if you are colleagues of each other, going to the same company every day, then people already feel more trustable towards each other. If people go to exactly the same location, then the trustworthiness goes up and people care less about it. That's what we have learned. And commuting is people have the same schedule every day, so in that case people learn from each other. And you can chat first anonymously, we're not sharing any private data from each other.
So in that case, then a follow-on question, what are you doing to acquire users? How are you going to...
Yeah, very good question. At this moment we get about 1/3 of our traffic on the app from our partners. We have set up distribution with many big festivals and events, and another 25% is coming in via social media, mainly Facebook at this moment, because our app can also run in Facebook, even in the pages of other companies as a separate tab. They can install it with one click.
And did I hear you say that you've got a paid pilot with Rotterdam?
Yeah.
So what are they paying you for? How is that working?
Yeah, it's an initiative from the Ministry of Infrastructure. They want to get rid of a lot of congestion. They have the money and they spread it to the regions. Rotterdam is one of the most important ones. And they're paying us for setting up the challenge and running the challenge until the end of 2014, an amount of, I can share it here, 30,000 euros, another 30,000 euros if we meet the targets in the end.
Mm-hmm. So one of your potential customers might be organizations, city governments. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I know this is a big issue for Stanford University. Too many cars, they have to build more roads, they don't want to do that. So those kinds of organizations might be incited to build your app.
The games or the challenges, we actually call them, can be adopted by the companies you just mentioned. And at the same time, we have a business model where people pay each other individually for a single ride. Or we have a B2B proposition on our way where actually companies can adopt a kind of a SaaS solution for carpooling.
Cool. And I'm guessing that business model question was going to be on somebody's mind here, yes?
Yeah, well, Airbnb is one of the business models we have. It's a B2C model where we actually provide an escrow service and we take a cut out of that. Next to that, of course, now we have introduced the game challenges where we get paid for. That's, of course, not so easy to repeat. You need to set up each and every time with different incentives. But the third one, I think that will be the biggest in the future, is our B2B proposition we're currently developing, which is a SaaS service for companies and they pay on a subscription basis.
Yeah.
And just back to sort of your business model and the market, how many companies you think can win in this market? Is it a winner-take-all, or you think there's room for more successful companies?
Initially, I thought it's a winner-takes-all approach, but when you look at it from a consumer point of view, I think there will be more players in the end, because some of them will be have a different profile what people feel attracted or not so attracted to. But of course, critical mass is essential in these kind of apps. So I think there will be maybe 2 or 3 players in the end.
But this is a network effect application, right? If I go to your place looking for a ride, the more people that offer rides, the more useful is the application.
Correct.
And then the more people will go there. And so
yeah, so but that's more in the consumer space. For B2B, if one company adopts your solution, they can actually perfectly run it without the rest of the world using it. So then the mechanics are
let's
different.
give Bindi the last word here, because we are out of time.
And this is a question I've asked everyone. Tell me about yourselves as founders, and tell me more importantly about those outfits.
About, sorry?
What you're wearing.
These outfits, they were custom made for us in our company colors by a Dutch designer.
Just about yourselves, what's your background?
Yeah, my background.
What drove you to build this?
Before, actually, this is my first startup. Before that, I worked for TomTom. I was head of internet and e-commerce, and I worked for Layer for half a year as well. And I worked for Philips. And Leon, maybe you can actually answer the question yourself.
Yeah, since we didn't get to do the demo. I'm not the co-founder, I'm the first employee, I think.
Yeah.
And I run a charity or a foundation aimed at startups as well. So I do 2 things. And that's actually how I got in touch with Martin. We brought the startup machine to the Netherlands last year. And you were a coach, right?
I was a coach.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, if we had a category for best dressed, you gentlemen might actually win that.
Yeah, you should need to share the name of the person that constructed that.
Very good. All right. Well, that is our first round of our startup competition. I'm going to ask the judges to excuse themselves to the green room to do your. Oh, thank you. My pen back. Do your final chin scratching over your rankings, and we thank you very much. Thank our judges. It's hard to do that job, and I think they did a great job, great questions. I'm going to remind you of 2 things. You can vote for any company and do your own ratings by following the QR codes that were presented. And all of these companies are in the out in the foyer and off to the left. If you have questions that we weren't able to answer in the short amount of time, please jump in and do that. We're going to take about a 5-minute break to reset the room, bring in our new panel of judges. I hope we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes. Thank you.